talking about data. Well, today I've got something really special to talk about. It's to help you solve a problem that I know you're going through these days, which is getting access to real-time data values. Now, it could be because you've got a use case, like if you are in healthcare, I need the patient's latest and greatest vitals or lab results. I don't want to worry about what was brought in or the last time I refreshed data to bring it into memory. Or I'm looking at something gigantic, like I'm looking at transactions in the terabytes or petabytes of data range, and I can't possibly fit those all into memory. Well, Qlik has always had options for you, whether it was direct discovery if you're really old school Qlik, whether it was on demand application generation. What we've got now that's going to help is kind of a blending of those two things called dynamic views. And here's basically the way it works. I've got this gigantic data set in Snowflake. I'm bringing in the aggregates into one QlikSense app. I have a second QlikSense app, or a third or a fourth and a fifth QlikSense apps that are focused on the use case that I'm looking for, and we'll walk through a couple of those. What I'm going to do is I make my selections as I'm doing my analytics, same old thing I've always done. Those values get passed as the cohort to the other app, the dynamic view of the data. A where clause will get generated into Snowflake. Snowflake will spin it up, return me the results, and then I will take that dynamic view and put it back in my original application. That's why we call them dynamic views as opposed to just the direct discovery where I'm going to get the data. I'm pulling it back and it's being surfaced in a view, a chart type of an object. Hopefully that all makes sense. Let's go ahead and get started though. Going to go ahead and move to my dashboard, and this would be a typical type of thing I might be looking at if I were an analyst, right? I want to look at data and I'm trying to find outliers. In this case, I'm looking at all of my ending locations and how many trips were taken to that ending location, how long the trips were in total that got there, and maybe I find this particular one here where it says that the average trip duration was 327,000 seconds. Well, that doesn't seem very good. I want to narrow that down, right? And at this point, maybe somebody just says, "Look, let's go get that data. I can't believe that the average is 327,000 seconds, right?" Well, shoot, all of the rest of this is all in memory. This is all from my aggregates, and here's where the dynamic views would come in. I'm going to move to another screen, and you're going to see that the query then is fired. Go get me all of the details about these 1,750 trips that ended in this location, and now I've got data back about those particular trips. This is dynamic. The user can continue to refine this, right? Maybe they want to look at the number of trips by a specific bike, or in this case, let me go ahead and narrow this down to the 348 trips that originated at this location. You'll notice that my dynamic view now gives the end user a warning. Hey, you need to refresh this data, Jack, or you're looking at old stuff because you've changed something in your selection criteria. So I simply say go refresh. Again, this selection, this cohort is being passed off to another app that's spun up. It's elastic on our end. It then calls Snowflake. Snowflake responds with the results. I then visualize the results, whether it's in a details type chart or whether it's in a chart like this that's a traditional analytics. It could kind of be the hybrid of whatever it is that you want. I could then even further refine this if I want to, and I could choose just customers, right? And so in this case, it's saying, hey, you need to refresh this. We get that. We've already walked that route, but I'm going to show you another variation of this where it may be I'm a business analyst and pick up the phone and somebody calls and says, hey, can you tell me about the trips from this location to that location just for our customers. Why, sure I can. There's been one of these trips. It had this long. I've got some details that came from my in-memory about that if I were looking at more than one trip. What I've done here is in my dynamic view, I've actually passed back the where clause from it just to show me, hey, if I'm going to Snowflake for this CitiBike data, this is the where clause that would be used based on your filter. And then here are these details. The nice thing about this, I can always look at this. I can see, hey, what are the constraints on this? Well, you're looking at one specific row that was filtered. You're allowed to bring back up to 25,000 based on the speed of my network and my home network. I don't want to bring back more than that. It even tells me what the selections were for the app when I made the query to get that data. Now I know what you're thinking. Maybe this was all just rigged or set up. What I'm going to do is I take that exact where clause and I'm going to run this in Snowflake for you right now live. So I'm going to say, hey, select from where this station is this. The ending station is that. The user type is customer. Bingo, bango, boingo. I've got my result of data. That's what Snowflake does, right? Well, I want live data. It's not just the fact that this was, a gig, 1.6 gig of data. Pretend this was petabytes, but I want live data. Somebody just rode the bike, and I'm going to insert a record for today's date, January 14th, 7:30. It was about a 3-hour ride. Notice that my original trip was back in 2017. So I'm going to insert a row of data live into Snowflake here. I'm going to rerun this query in Snowflake, and you'll see that now there are 2 rows of data. Well, let me come back to my application, and now I don't even have to change filters. I'm just going to say, hey, let's pretend I need to know what the latest and greatest data is. My in-memory analytics, remember this was refreshed maybe an hour ago, maybe even 10 minutes ago, but I need right now because there could be rows of data being inserted as we're going, right? That's the whole purpose of real-time data. I need latest and greatest. I will go get your data, whatever you want. Maybe I just want to look at, hey, these birth years seem wrong. That can't be right. Go get me data for people that were born before 1900, right? Whatever it is that I may want to do, go get that data. It says, hey, let's make a refresh here. I'm going to refresh it. It's going to show me then what that where clause would be for pulling that data, and then show me the details of those 4,000 trips basically, right? So the beauty is with these dynamic views, I can literally have ad hoc access to my giant set of data. All I need to know, what are the dimensions I want to filter on, and then those things get built. Now, obviously, for your end user on the screen, you're not going to display what the where clause would be because that doesn't mean anything to them. It's the ability to go get data live that's really going to mean something for them.